I'm Professor Wise Guy, and I'm here at the flagship campus of the University of Missouri System, the University of Missouri at Columbia. Okay, you caught me. I'm not actually on the campus, but I was there a little over a month ago, so that should count for something, right? Okay, when I got out of high school, I determined to head to MU, or Mizzou as the cool kids call it, to attend the same college my father attended. Why? I honestly can't give you a reason. I'm pretty sure it wasn't because my dad went there. My time at Mizzou was short, only one semester. No, I did not flunk out. On the other hand, I didn't exactly set the world on fire with my performance. The reason for me leaving Mizzou so quickly was that I was in love. I couldn't keep myself away from this fine young lady, and I headed back to a school in the Kansas City area. You can sneer, but now, almost 40 years later, we're still married and even happy, so it worked out. Still, you might look at my brief stint at MU and think, what could I possibly know about that place? I won't pretend to give you a full rundown of this school, but I can tell you some things good and bad about being an undergraduate at a large state university. Let's start with the good. When I was at MU, I took advantage of some of the speakers and performers they brought to campus. I've heard Arlo Guthrie perform 3 times in my life, but the only one that was free was during that semester. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Yeah, he sang that and a bunch of other stuff. Maybe Arlo Guthrie's not your cup of tea, but large schools often have the budget and the draw to bring in some really interesting acts. You ever heard of Mel Blanc? He's dead now, but he was the voice of Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Daffy Duck and pretty much every Looney Tunes character that existed for many, many years. Mel Blanc came to campus. He did a talk. He did voices and told amusing stories and earned whatever 5-figure payment the university gave him. How did he end the evening? You know. That's all, folks. It had to be that, right? Big schools attract big names. You get politicians and scientists and artists and all manner of interesting people. There's just always stuff going on. Also, those big schools tend to be in interesting towns with live music in the clubs, interesting shops, and a lot of other things to distract you from school. Okay, that wasn't all good stuff, but it could be. To me, the best thing for an undergrad, especially for freshmen and sophomores at a large university, comes in the form of those extras. Well, what about the not so good? When you go to a huge university, you'll generally get an uneven bunch of teachers. During my one semester, I had pretty fair luck, but just fair. I had 4 classes, and I still remember those teachers. My college algebra class was taught not by a professor, but by a teaching assistant. At large universities, most of the entry-level classes are taught, at least to some degree, by teaching assistants or TAs. A TA is a graduate student, maybe somebody who just got their bachelor's degree last year. They get a small paycheck and tuition in return for teaching undergrads. That's nice for them, but it doesn't guarantee strong teaching. Some of them are great, but some of them really don't want to be teaching at all. And some of them want to be teaching, but haven't figured out yet that they're not very good at it. And my college algebra TA obviously knew his stuff, but he wasn't gifted at making it clear to us. On the other hand, he was a genuinely nice guy who seemed to enjoy the classroom. My Spanish class was another TA who apparently knew his stuff, but I don't think he did enjoy the classroom. He just sort of went through the motions. Then there was a political science class, American government. It featured lectures by a big-time professor and then smaller discussion sections with a TA. Those lectures I shared with over 500 people. I remember one day passing the professor on campus. He looked at me and didn't give one glimmer of recognition. The TA was nice enough, but I think he was kind of out of his depth. He probably made a better campaign manager for somebody a few years later. Finally, I had an English class. You know I had to have one, right? Taught by a genuine professor. She was on exchange from England, And we studied poetry, and the class was good, although she wore the exact same rather peculiar clothes every single day of the semester. So, besides the iffy teaching staff, what's not so good about a big university? Well, it's big. Big helped give us some of the best stuff, but especially for undergrads, it also produces some of the worst. You can get utterly lost in the middle of 20,000 other students. Nobody's going to care when you get utterly lost either. Now, I have no regrets about spending that semester at Mizzou. I did okay, but I did better when I got myself back to a smaller school. That said, huge schools work out pretty well for a lot of people. But are they the best course for undergrads, especially freshmen and sophomores? I'm not as convinced. Well, what do you think? If you have opinions, good or bad, on large schools, put them in the comments down below. Otherwise, I'll see you when I continue my tour of the schools I've attended in the past. But for now, get out of here.